In this very short presentation, I would like to talk about content ownership, access control, and responsibility. Let's start with the content ownership. I draw the typical picture for post platforms. On the left, we have people with their solid servers and houses with their solid servers. We have platforms in the middle, and we have specific organizations and people on the right, like notaries, engineers, or doctors. Okay, first statement, everybody should have keys, cryptographic keys. So organizations on the right, they have keys, and people on the left have keys. In our schema, by the way, houses will not have keys, as you remember. Okay, when somebody wants to write some data on his own server, this guy does it easily. He just uses the key, and if he needs, he encrypts it, or he signs it, or whatever. And finally, he has some data on his own server, like his own articles, for example, or financial information. This girl can do the same. With her key, she will write information and encrypt it or not encrypt or sign. What about house? Can house write information? Actually not, because house doesn't have key. House is not active actor. So house will not be able to write anything on his own solid server. Who can do it? The owner. For example, this girl can do it for the house. Okay, it's getting interesting. Now let's see situation with a doctor. So a doctor wants to write out prescription for two patients, for the boy and for the girl. Okay, when the doctor creates prescriptions, they are landed on the solid server of these people because the doctor come and go, and yeah, these people want to keep the prescriptions with themselves. So the doctor essentially creates prescriptions which will be kept on the solid server of these people, and they will be signed by the doctor with his key. Okay, if Cadastre does something similar, Cadastre will create some documents or whatever on the solid servers of people or houses, fine. The same could be done by notary, which is green things, or engineers will create some documents and put them to the houses, again signing with their keys. So that's the final picture, which you see demonstrates that solid server will contain information created and signed by different parties. And please pay attention that platforms themselves, they're not important here. Yeah, every player on the right could use any platform to do his or her actions. Okay, now let's really dive into ownership. We usually think, when we think about solids, that this guy has control over the data on his pod. Actually not. The more accurate picture is like that. He controls only the stuff which he made himself. The same about the girl. This girl controls only this stuff. And by the way, pay attention that she controls stuff on two solid server, on two pods, on her own and on the pod of her house, if she owns the house. And what about the house? The house cannot put any information, so there is no ownership of the house. So only people and organization, people with keys can have claim any ownership on the data. By the way, what do you mean by ownership? Ownership is ability to create data, to delete data, or to change data, or sign data, etc. So that's ownership of data. Okay, what the doctor has? The doctor has something like that. Cadastre, it has ownership on these four elements on four solid servers. The same with notary or with engineers. So as you see in the result, we have a very interesting situation that for people organization on the right, all the solid server represents some kind of European data space, a kind of one place where they put information, change information, delete information. But what is great, whenever they create any information, for example, engineer creates information, cadastre specialist will see immediately what was created by engineer because they operate all essentially in the same field. So that's the interesting phenomenon of Solid. Solid creates some kind of continuous space, the unique and united space for all participants to participate in it with their own keys. Without keys, it will never work. So the content ownership doesn't go on the border of the solid server. We see that the content ownership goes through the server itself. So a lot of borders may go through the same pod. And that's very unusual result. But it will become even more interesting if you look at the access control. if you look at the access control of the solid server, we see that it coincides with the bodies of the solid server. For example, which doctor can write a prescription? Only the doctor allowed by myself. So I'm signing the doctor particular agreement with particular house arts, and only this guy can write prescriptions. Or I hire a very specific notary, and only this notary can change information on my solid server. So access control to the solid server is fully in the hands of the guy who owns the solid server. So there is a difference between access control, which is full, against the content ownership, which is not full. Okay, and let's have a look at responsibility. Who is responsible if anything goes wrong? Okay, the first level which we should cover is persistence, to make sure the solid server and the data exist. So it should be a contract with reliable cloud service. Multiple backups should be taken in different locations in South America or New Zealand, whatever. Version control should be established, archive services, etc. So whatever happens to this physical solid server, we should always be able to recover it. And somebody has to pay for the server, and so it should be taken with care. So we have a very interesting situation that particular citizen, this guy on the left, is holding on his solid server partially the information which has public interest. For example, Cadastre information, this blue sign here on the solid server. And because this guy holds part of the public information, it raises the question, should we delegate to this guy full control of the server? Probably. A good idea could be that the government pays for the solid server and provide for free to citizens. So it's a kind of, consider it like insurance for the car. You cannot drive your car without insurance, ever. In this way, you cannot live in this country of Netherlands without having your solid server, ever. And because for people probably it will be quite difficult in the beginning, yeah, probably indeed, Dutch government should take control of providing money for such solid server. And say, well, okay, we give you €5 per year, and for this €5 you buy the solid server for yourself with 1 gigabyte of information. If you need more space, for example, you create a lot of video, please buy extra space from your solid server provider. So it should be situation when public services will take care of providing all solid service to people. Well, look at Cadastre now. Right now, Cadastre gets money from the government to keep all the database of all Cadastre information. Yeah, government pays for it. So when this information is distributed among solid servers, probably government should continue to pay for it. So that could be the way forward, which, by the way, has very serious consequences for all kind of business projects around it. Good. Next level is investigation of frauds. If something goes wrong, there is always, everybody, we may suspect that it went wrong not because technology just had some bug, but probably somebody made something wrong. Well, good news that we'll be able to investigate the case quite deeply. First of all post platforms which will be around, they will have possibility to do some kind of continuous preventive checkup. So, for example, Cadastre platform will constantly check all the solid server to make sure that the border on one solid server coincides with the border of the parcel on another solid server, and alarm if it sees that these borders are different. Of course, it will be possible to review the log files, and log files will not be just log files, it will be log files with signed information who exactly made the change, because everybody has keys, and because of that, we'll be able to really understand who made any transactions. So all transactions will be absolutely traceable down to the very specific person who made this specific record in the Cadastre data. Of course, we'll have version control, we'll have timestamps signed by notary. So whatever we do, some external notary will always put the timestamp so that we know when exactly operation happened. And also it will be possible to do some cross-examination between different pods or pods and platforms, because platforms will always have some cache information. So we'll be able to compare information on the pod with information on the cache, etc., etc., etc. So because we have keys, it will be quite doable to understand who changed what data. But it always may be situations something goes seriously wrong and it will be not possible to understand who made this mistake. Well, what if? For this case, we have insurance companies. We suggest to engage them. So if something goes wrong, insurance companies pay. And these guys will have absolute commercial interest to make sure that if any problem happens, they'll make sure to investigate it and to make sure that it will never ever happen again. So we have a very nice commercial partner, insurance companies, which will really make some efforts to make sure the system become more and more secure. So we have quite a good picture which will ensure persistence, investigation of frauds, and insurance if anything goes wrong. Okay, so that was my pitch on these three issues of ownership, access control, and responsibility when dealing with big government data like Cadastre.